Hey everyone, Sycra here, and because some of my viewers suggested it, I'm gonna show some of my sketches from the year 2013 from my messy and, in my opinion, very poor sketchbook. In my last art progress video, I commented a lot about why I didn't like my drawings. In this one, I'll try and explain a bit more about what I like and dislike. So anyway, let's get to it. So this sketch is for a card illustration I did for a lizard man barbarian, and the rest I don't really like. I find them very messy and flat. I noticed, for instance, that this one was flat, so then I started doing more blocky people because I wanted to remind myself that, hey, you've got to think of volumes and stuff. This one, these two images, this one's by Stanley Lau, also known as Art Germ. This one's from MHK, Xiangchen, and the rest are just my own stuff. Trying to get curves, because I started seeing there were curves that he used that I don't. For instance, see on the calf, there's like this very subtle curve that I would always exaggerate, and so I wanted to show myself that. And I see a lot of beginners have trouble with this, so me too. And this is a study as well, this one, and then these are just imagination, more Batman type guys. Moving on, these are bad. This was when I was using pen, and I'm just so not comfortable with pen, and at this point I was very much erasing things very quickly as I drew them. It's very messy because of that. I would scribble things down and try and get the feel, and then erase and fix and erase and fix. Poor Hulk. Okay, I think this was this one was a study of a real life person, a cosplayer, and then I just wanted to make it in more my own style. And yeah, I don't know what's going on here. I wanted to do like a more crazy perspective, and this one's just, oh boy. God, it's even hard because I don't want to comment on it. I just feel the anatomy's wacky and the proportions, and I like this guy just because he's funny. But yeah, not much going on with this page. This page I was trying to explore different body types, which I do from time to time, and I wanted to do like a really over-the-top muscular woman, and again, anatomy problems like crazy. Yeah, not much more. These are studies, these two, from photos, and I'll do that quite a bit. This is something I do as well. I'll draw a pose, and this is a horrible pose. I don't feel it's dynamic. It's very static. The limbs are very fat, so it just is not appealing. But what I'll do is I'll do the pose first, and then I open my anatomy books and I try and draw in the muscles. Yeah, and sometimes I don't use an anatomy book, but I have an app on the iPad called Lecorche, and I use that because it's basically a 3D model you can spin around. Kind of like this pose. It's pretty cool. Yeah, more studies. This one was these two, I believe, are from Kim Jung-gi, my favorite artist. And yeah, more stuff. Trying to push my style a bit more, and it's something I've been working on ever since, and I feel like now I finally got a handle on it, sort of, but here I'm still experimenting. This is kind of messed up, the anatomy. I like this guy. I think he's got some attitude. It's kind of cool. Not much I can say about this page, really. Here I'm really starting to like, I get in phases where I forget and then I remind myself, but I wanted to remind myself of the form, so I try to block out the forms by creating contour lines going like this way and then that way. Not much else, I guess. This is pretty nice, like the lines are nice and straight, I guess. I don't know. It's just nice to see straight lines, and that's just practice. If you draw a lot, you'll be able to get that. Here was studies for a tutorial on different age groups and the proportions. I think I don't know what I used. Maybe I used Loomis as a reference, but I'm not sure. Yeah, another Kim Jung-gi study, and then these are just failures. I feel they're ugly. More things I'm not happy with. This, I wonder if anyone will be able to guess who this is. And then these are a couple more Kim Jung-gi things. I had to do an illustration with a horse, so I needed some horse reference. And no comment. This one's okay. I like the negative space thing, and it's an important thing, so let me see if I can cover it in a bit more detail. So let's say you're doing a drawing, right? And let's say I have a leg, right? Now if I make the leg this, that's a bad leg. Let's say that's my leg. Now if I make the leg like this proportion, look at how much of the leg is line compared to how much is empty space. So this line is the positive space. The blank area is the negative space. Now if I do this, so I'm making it bigger, but another option is just have a thinner line. And I make that the proportion of the leg. So now this much is the positive space and this much is more negative space. It just looks a whole lot better. And so in this one, when I say I like the negative space, I like how there's areas of detail and then areas of rest. And I feel like a lot of times what happens is I get something like this where it's like, oh, that's working, but then I sort of forget it. And it takes a while sometimes in your drawings where you'll have a drawing you like, and then you'll have a bunch more that you don't. And then you sort of remember, like, oh yeah, that kind of looked good. I should do that more often. But it takes a while to bring back or to even become consciously aware of. So some hand studies, kind of like this, the way this person turned out. Again, playing around with that muscly female. This was a study from a photo, but then I caricatured it. And again, some caricatures of women, and yeah. I like these two. I think they turned out okay. And these two are Kim Jung-gi studies, and these two aren't. They're just from imagination, but I don't know, it's kind of messed up. But I like this girl. I think that turned out well. These lizards, they do not look good at all in terms of anatomy, proportion. So here I was playing around with shapes. You can see just how messy it gets. I scribble out things and try and get the movement and the feeling. And it's easier to get the movement when you have a lot of lines, but it's not what I want to end up with. I want to be able to capture the movement without having it to have so many lines. If you've seen the works of animators, they often will look if you look at the rough drawings, they look really lively and energetic. And they have lines going everywhere. And then you look at the cleaned version, and it just doesn't have that same energy. So to capture that's going to be hard. So I did this page, and then this one's like the same page. I just did this, scanned it, and then tried to clean it up and maintain energy, which I'm not sure if I was successful at. Back to anatomy. This is something I keep revisiting. I knew I had a problem with backs, so you'll notice all over the place I'll be these things, back studies, just drawing in the muscles over and over because I want to memorize the pattern, the way these muscles actually go and interlocked and connect. Again, see, back again. I like this girl. This girl's okay. Yeah, this is not a completely terrible. I like this little kid on the skateboard. It's not a completely terrible page. I don't even remember what was going on. I wanted to make one eye dark and one eye light and see what that looked like. And I have no idea. I don't know. It's a bit weird. Again, focusing on backs, playing with different shapes. More skinny girls, I draw a lot of girls. And yeah, pushing proportions. I actually like this proportion. It's pretty cool. This one, these horns, this is actually where I discovered the coil technique, because I was trying to draw horns and then I started coiling it around. It's like, that kind of works. Maybe I can turn this into a technique. Here's a study from Kim Jung-gi. And yeah, see, back to the back, because I was forgetting it. So you don't do it for a little while and then you start to forget and you have to revisit it. Again, see, back muscles. Another back muscle, side muscles. Anatomy is just one of those things that, for me anyway, I just have to keep doing over and over again. If you've seen my How to Choose Colors That Work video, you might recognize these people. And some more scribbly stuff, super messy, but that's the way I roll. Kind of like these Spider-Mans, or at least the faces. The body is like, well, whatever, I don't know, not there yet, but faces are okay. And I do like this proportion of this figure, playing with different eyes. As I said, I was still trying to nail down my style and what it exactly looks like. Not sure what's going on here. Yeah, so you can really see how there's on days and off days, and just times where it's like, oh, the drawings turn out okay, and other times it's like, not so much. So, I like this relationship is kind of nice. What else? Right, I saw this thing which talked about you can lead with the head, with the chest, with the crotch, or with the knees. There's 4 ways of having a person walking and the different parts, and that sort of defines their character, their attitude. I thought that was kind of cool. I don't know what this is. But basically when she lets go of her finger, this would like pop out like that. This is after Fabio Barboni, and so this one is a copy, and then these are just imagination. I wanted to play with forced perspective, like pushed views. I really like dynamic camera angles and dynamic everything. Just the more dynamic, the better. And it doesn't mean I can pull it off well, but it's what I want. So, like, for instance, I did this where it's like, I want this person to feel dynamic and like energy. This one I like, except for this arm, because it feels like broken, disconnected. If I was to do it now, I would connect that trapezius properly to the shoulder there. Anyway, it's just lack of understanding of anatomy, but as I said, I'm always learning. So much to learn. Again, going back to anatomy, trying to see how one of these extensors actually connects. This is the one that controls all the fingers. This tendon. And back to anatomy, back to the back again. It's just over and over you have to do them before you understand. I like this guy. This is after Joaquin Sorolla, and this is Kadu Flyer. It's a sculpture actually, and I feel it's really cool. These are just imagination, more anatomy. I like this guy. Or is it a guy? Is it a guy? Is it a girl? I think it's a guy in drag. Let's see, anything here? Not really. Back to pen, and again, I struggle a lot with pen because you cannot erase. So when I move from very sketchy stuff to pen stuff, it's always, yeah. And I was experimenting with a calligraphy pen. This is after Hyung Tae Kim, and just trying to get some character designs down. There's a book, geez, I don't even remember what the book was called, but there was a bunch of thumbnails, and then I looked at those, and then I did my own versions. And more Hyung Tae Kim stuff. I know Hyung Tae Kim has very broken or distorted anatomy, but I like his dynamics. I feel he has a lot of energy. Sorry to keep using that word. But yeah, it's got a lot of movement and a lot of appeal, even though there may be issues. And these are, like, this idea is kind of nice. I kind of like it, but it's too flat. And if I was to draw it again, what I'd really consider is perspective, because I wasn't. Even these, you'll notice there's no perspective grid. I'm just sort of freehanding these cars. And back to anatomy. Anatomy and weird bodies. Just trying to figure out like what looks right, and I'm not saying any of these look right, but it's all about self-discovery, and you have to go through so much before you find out what's what. And here I was at the stage where I still didn't understand the breasts and things, because you can see there's this line that goes here and then this line, and that's not really how breasts work. And later on I'll correct it, and I get it right. This was done at a Schoolism workshop lecture of Nathan Fowkes, and he was talking about color, light, and design. And I was doing a caricature of him, and he sort of slouched, but he had a bit of a belly, and I had a lot of trouble, and I kept drawing this shape, like, let's see, like this shape, you know, for the body. So here's the head. And it just wasn't working. It didn't look like him. I was getting frustrated. Then I reversed the shape, and I got this shape, and it's like, that looks like him. Because here I get this slouch, but he also maintains that big gut, so you get the slouch and a little bit of a belly. And sorry, Nathan. But, yeah, sometimes experimenting with caricature is really like that. You think something is a certain way, but it doesn't mean it is. So sometimes you actually have to flip the thing on its head and see, does it work or not? Yeah, this is really not a good day. Things weren't really going well. This one was funny because I thought this one is kind of like, oh, maybe I'll push my style in this direction. But my friend Bob Meatbag, he preferred this direction. So it's interesting how it's like, oh, I could go this way or I could go that way. Here I'm experimenting with push proportions, because there's really a thing of, like this one. It's kind of cool. There's a thing of, you learn the proportions, but then you want to decide what is my take on it. This one, I went back to the calligraphy brush, just experimenting. I actually really like this girl. I like this attitude. It's pretty cool. This one's okay as well. And I do find using the calligraphy brush helps to do character design, especially thumbnails, because you've got this, I mean, the bad thing is if you're not experienced, which I am not at this point, it's hard to control when you get mistakes. And like even things like this where there's like black around, I can only imagine that I probably got the neck in the wrong position, and I was using this black to sort of sculpt out my mistake. But yeah, because you've got this big flat side of the pen to work with, you can block in shapes much easily. And these are some characters that I'm experimenting with for a personal project. Same thing. Same thing. Yeah, still that same project. And here I was playing around with, I got a set of touch markers, and I just wanted to see what I could do with them. I think this one turned out okay. I especially like the hair. It's like, okay, that's kind of cool. But I tried a copy of a photo and wanted to see like how well can I use value and use the blending brush and blend things, and it was awful. And I'm assuming a lot of it probably had to do with the paper I'm using. It's probably not the best because it's just regular, well, it's a Canson sketchbook, and it's just the, I don't know, rough paper, which isn't great for markers. Markers are much better on smooth, thicker, heavier paper. So this is terrible. I just hate the colors, and again, just experimenting with markers. Not much here. This is okay. I kind of like this composition. The horse is horrible, so if I was to redo it, I'd definitely have to open up some reference and learn what a horse actually looks like. Yeah, another page. I like these proportions. Again, experimenting with proportions. I know it's extremely elongated, and it's nothing about saying like, I think women should be skinny and tall, because that's not even the type of girl I like. I don't actually, like, I'm not even into skinny, tall girls, really. But I like pushing the proportions, like, oh, it's got appeal. And it's something different. It's not style, I don't know, I feel sort of, it makes me cringe every time people comment on an artist's style, like, you just made boobs really big. And it's like, whatever, you know? You don't comment as badly when they've made muscles huge. Out of proportion muscles. This is giving guys insecurities, but it's like, what? It's just, I mean, usually it's just a case of you want to convey an idea, so you push it. I really like these girls. So here I just did a bunch of little sketches, and then I used the marker, touch marker, and just added some value. Some of these I like that one's okay. This one's foreshortening is very bad. Should I use your coil technique? This is all back, well, this one's after Kim Jung-gi, but these are for the personal project thing I'm working on still. And style exploration again, personal project, another personal project. Shoot. I don't know. I'm not sure what's going on here either. More personal project, I don't know. Yeah, this one, I just wanted to put different shapes behind. I don't know what I'm doing, it's just like experimenting. What if I make a dark outline? Does that look good? I don't know. So, this guy is kind of funny. It's always easy for me to do these type of things, like the pushed, exaggerated stuff. It's actually much harder to do like this type of stuff for me. So this wasn't a good day, but I did remember something. So first I did this face of this, I don't know, some creature, but it was looking flat, and then I remembered, use your perspective, dummy. So just put in some vanishing points, and this isn't good, but it's amazing how much better your sense of volume is when you just like, okay, put down a horizon and get your vanishing points, even if it's very rough and, you know, not using a ruler or anything. So this is going to be, of course, messy. But like now that I have this space, I'm much more likely to build within this space, like build a three-dimensional thing. And you got to remember, like, yeah, it's good for buildings and whatnot, but a head fits in a box as well, you know? So it makes your get that to that vanishing point, find where that, let's see, that ear would be popping out from there. And yeah, so this is terribly horrible, but I'm putting the perspective and trying to, at least I'm trying to think about perspective again. Here I'm setting up vanishing points. Here I was just doing some hands from imagination, but again I set up vanishing points because I want to remind myself of perspective. So I'll do it for a while where it's like, okay, you're back in perspective mode. Here I just put down some shapes with a marker, and then I use the pencil afterwards to define it. I got a horse, but it was not again, so then it's like, go back to perspective, even though this is really, really wrong, but it's mainly the idea. See? Things are standing on the ground again. They exist in space, and that is important. So I actually told myself, don't do any drawings without considering the perspective, and so you'll see more and more there'll be lines going to vanishing points. So it doesn't work well a lot of times, and you'll notice how stiff the drawings are getting, but it's still, the idea of it is good. Like this proportion, and I'm still trying to figure out what proportion, how do I break down my figure, what's the mannequin that I use in a sense. I like this one. It's kind of got a cool dynamic to it. And this is, I started reading a manga series called Bakuman, and yeah, so you'll see that all the drawings are getting more anime-ish because I'm being influenced while I'm reading it. Here I was watching Glenn Vilppu videos, and he was talking about a certain proportion where you measure from the top of the head to the bottom of the nose. And I think Stan Prokopenko, he did a video recently talking about this cranial measurement where you go from the top of the head to the nose, and then the nose to the pit of the neck. And that's sort of how you find that proportion, and that proportion repeats all over the place, in the scapula and lots of places. So it is a very cool measurement. So now I started going into pen again, and I decided I'm just going to work with pen for a while. So you can see how I am very uncomfortable with this. You know, it's hard for me, especially because I'm starting with guidelines and it's just getting incredibly messy. Like this one, it's really quite bad. Still working with pen, and you'll notice, see, it's almost getting chicken scratchy because I can't control it properly. A lot of this, if I was doing it in pencil, I would have drawn it with pencil, but then erased it and fixed it, redrawn it, erased it, fixed it. And I don't have that luxury with pen. So it forces me to be more accurate. And actually, so I think since then I didn't touch the pencil because I just wanted to get good or decent with pen. But yeah, just keep doing more drawings. You'll notice less guidelines are appearing. And because of this, what I have to do is actually visualize the guidelines and draw the drawing before I draw it. And you'll notice a lot of these things, see, with the side of the face where there's dark hair. What that really is that I did the side of the face, but then it was a bit off, and instead of I can't erase it, and I don't have whiteout to use, so instead I just used the darkness of the hair to sort of refine that contour, that silhouette. So anytime you see a person and they have dark hair, it's pretty much like, oh, you just sort of messed up on the drawing. Anyway, so you do what you can. And yeah, like this, see, just wasn't going well. I think I did a bit too much shading, and it's like, screw it, this isn't gonna work. Kind of like this woman though. Yeah, and I kind of like this. This stuff it's interesting. Still sort of manga influence, so then I try and get out of it at times. This person looks a bit more French. And this was just not a good day. Not feeling it at all. Although, this guy is pretty amazing. And yeah, now you'll notice it's getting a bit more clean. Like I'm able to do this without needing all the guidelines, and that's what pen is giving me. It's giving me a lot more confidence to put things down. Again though, this was like I was doing some shading, and it's like, oh, this didn't work, so this lady ended up having a beard. That's what you get. But this one was intentional. I wanted to do a guy who is he's cross-dressing or something, I don't know. And more stuff, trying to figure it out. I think here, see on the body, you'll notice that the lines actually get really kind of smooth. And let's see if I can show this, but the way I do it is I don't know if I'm the only one who does this or if other people are doing this, but it's something I tried and it worked. So anyway, I'm right-handed, so I take my left hand, and so this is going to be my elbow, this is my shoulder, and here's my hand, and I sort of hold it like so, and then with my drawing hand, that's a terrible hand. Anyway, I have the pen, and I use this part of my arm right here. I use this to stabilize the hand. So I don't know, it just sort of helps a lot, because then I put it, so let's say the paper is here. And actually no, because I always draw. I draw in a way where, okay, so let's say this is my other shoulder, this is my head. Anyway, whatever, right? You kind of get it. I have my knees, so they're up like that, and I usually sit on my bed. And then I have my sketchbook balanced on my knees. So it's like that. I usually don't do it this way. I usually have it so anyway, whatever. And then, yeah, so I have my hand here. And then I have it so this hand is actually pushing upwards. And then, so the pen is not touching the page. And then I gently lower this while I'm making movements back and forth, like those kind of movements, and then finally they end up touching the page, but I get tons of control, so I can make really thin lines and very light lines just because I have this arm to prop it up. And it's the same idea as what painters use, which is a maul stick. It's just like a stick, kind of like that. And then they balance it, and they use it while holding their brush in one hand. They hold this in another hand. So I hope this makes sense. And yeah, so see, I can create cool shading with the pen now. And this is a character, Nizuma Eiji. I copied it from Bakuman. But again, you can see the shading, and I didn't know I could do shading with a pen like that. But I like this guy in between this lady's legs. It's kind of cool. These are just epic fails, but this one, kind of like this girl. It's kind of nice, just experimenting with style. Can I say anything here? Yeah, I like this guy. I did him in this view, and then this view, or this view and this view. I don't remember which one. Not much to say here. Again, doing my shading using that hand technique. And anything here? Nope. Nope. I like this guy. Again, another super quick, easy. I never struggle with these kind of funny drawings, but I have to work on things. And I was noticing that my hair, because I'm still at this point reading Bakuman, and it's my favorite manga. Not in the beginning, I really didn't like it, but when I got to the middle, I really liked it, and then towards the end, it's like, I don't know. But yeah. Anyway, so I was noticing I had trouble with hair, and the guy who does it, he's also the artist who did Death Note, and he does hair a very particular way, and I wanted to figure it out, and I wasn't able to at this point yet, but it was on my mind of things to figure out here. I'm working on proportions again, but it's been a while, and so things are a bit shaky. Let's see. Still trying to experiment with the hair, trying to get it right, but it's not working. And I figured, okay, let's go to reality, do some hair studies. But then on this one, I think I finally figured it out. And the trick is, I don't know if it's really a trick. Let's say you're doing the hair. What he did, and I'm gonna do a poor version because I'm not him and he's amazing and I'm just like whatever. But let's say this is a cranium and then there's hair on top. What he'll do is he'll start. I think this is my guess at how he does it, because otherwise I don't know how he can possibly do it. But he starts with like some strands going in an opposing direction, maybe like this way, and then he has strands below going in opposite directions, and then when you add that up, it sort of looks like, like it looks layered, kind of builds on top of itself. Anyway, so that's what I noticed. And the other thing I noticed is that down here, right, there's a lot of lines sort of splitting, but then near the top it tends to be very, and this is just his style I suppose, but it tends to be very clean at the top, where it's just like just like a silhouette like that. Maybe there'll be like one or two that sort of stick out, but anyway, it's just something that I noticed and I thought it was cool. That's the only way I figured out how to do it. And again, see, try and get terrible faces. Although I like this girl. I think that turned out that's kind of appealing. And then this guy's kind of cool. Again, playing around with the hair, but now kind of doing it my own way. Because I think that's sort of how you do it. You look at someone else, figure out how they do things, and then do it your own way. Here I finally found a proportion that I like for my own style. Happens to be 7 heads tall. That's just a coincidence because I measured it and it's like, oh, it's 7 heads, so I really like the number 7. And yeah. Let's see. This is more, what I realized is I was doing all these illustrations and getting very influenced by the anime, even though you might not be able to see it that much, but I was being influenced by what I was looking at. And then I looked back at some of my earlier sketchbook stuff, and it's like, I had my own style going, and maybe I should go back to that, because it is pretty appealing in its own right. And so you'll see I start to push back towards the way I used to do things a bit more, get back to being myself. This is a Joe Mad study of Hulk, and I like this girl, the way she turned out. And what's happening right now is you'll notice the lines are a bit thinner. It almost looks like this was drawn maybe with pencil, but this is just my pen running out of ink. And I found it actually gave a cool effect. So, yeah. Going back to perspective, remembering like, hey, you said you were going to put perspective everywhere. Don't forget that. It's like, right, but these look awful. But this one looks cool. I like this one. The hand sort of could use work. I like this girl. It's from imagination as well, but before I probably would have only been able to do a copy to get that. And yeah, this person is like a dynamic camera angle. It's not working really, but it's just, oh, and I like this proportion with this ballooned out thighs and really small body. But yeah, this is all the pen running out of ink. And then the pen was pretty much almost completely out of ink, so you can see how light the lines are, but then I used a new pen, and it was a bit thicker. Just doing some mouth studies. Let's see. Yeah, more Joe Mad stuff, because his stuff is so dynamic. So this one, and this one, and this one, and this one are Joe Mad studies. This one as well. This one's imagination. This one's imagination. You always want to make sure if you do a copy, keep it loose. You're not trying to copy the person's style. Well, you're not trying to do an exact duplicate of their work. You're trying to get the essence of what you're looking for. So when I look at Joe Mad, what am I looking for? I'm looking for the dynamics of it, the way he handles things. And I don't need to make a copy that I'm going to show anyone, because it's not for that. Yeah, and there's more people, and that's it. This is the last page of this sketchbook anyway. So I saw Kim Jung-gi. I was reading his book or looking through it, and I noticed that, oh, he makes the necks. He had this picture with a bunch of people with severed heads in a way, but it was clean. Like, it doesn't have blood gushing out everywhere. And I noticed, like, oh yeah, the neck is sort of a triangle shape. That's so cool. I didn't notice that before. It's almost like a heart shape, because in the back you've got the two, the muscles of the trapezius. And yeah, so there's that. And then I got the touch markers again. I did I don't know what he is. He's like maybe he's like a mech or maybe a golem, but I just wanted to experiment and do something like that. And then there's like a guy on the side here. And this guy, again, this type of stuff is the easiest. That's the stuff I want to do. Like, I like doing this stuff more, and that's what I want to do in terms of drawings, but this is what I'm really naturally easy. It's easy for me to do. So that's it, and hope you enjoyed seeing some of my terrible artwork and some of my not so bad ones, and hopefully it helped, and thanks for watching.